Okay, in this video we're going to find the equation of circles. A few things to know, however. First thing to know, if we have a circle and we have a chord on that circle, if I find the midpoint of that chord, draw a perpendicular line to that chord, the center of the circle is going to lie somewhere on that line. Likewise over here, if I have two chords and it's just coincidence that both of the chords are joining at that point. Okay, I could have another chord here and here, for example. Same rules apply, they don't have to hit together at the one point. But anyway, if I bisect that chord, so if I get the midpoint of it, draw a line perpendicular to that, do the same over here, line perpendicular, the point where they cross, that's the center of the circle. And over here, if I have a tangent to the circle and I draw a line perpendicular to that tangent at that point of contact, I know the center of the circle lies somewhere on that line. Likewise then, if I had another chord and I bisected and drew a perpendicular line at the point of at the midpoint of that, wherever those two lines cross, that would be the center of the circle. And I suppose likewise again, if I had another tangent, so if I had two tangents and I drew a perpendicular line to the, say, the black tangent at that point, and I did the same with the red tangent, where the point that they would cross would be the center of the circle. Right, so here's an example of a question. It says, find the equation of a circle containing 3 points, 2, 1, 0, 5, minus 1, 2. It's actually all I need to find the equation of a circle. With all of these questions, if it's not already sketched for you, please sketch it. So we have our circle and the 3 points then. Let's say 0, 5, minus 1, 2, and 2, 1. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to join 2 of these to make a chord. I'm going to join the 2 of these to make a chord. And what I'm going to do then, and I won't go through the big long process, okay? Because I have it, like, it's done in front of me already, so I'm not going to spend ages doing it. But I'm just going to show you the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bisect this chord. How do I do that? I find the midpoint between here and here, or I find the midpoint of this line. Alright, midpoint of this line lies here. How do I find the midpoint? Midpoint formula. The midpoint of this, when you do it out, you will get midpoint, you will get minus a half and 7 over 2. So there is that midpoint. Next thing I'm going to look for is the slope of that line. So slope, you'll use your slope formula and you will get a slope of 3. So that point here is minus half this point and 7 over 2. What I want is the equation of this line, the line parallel to that chord. I need 2 things to find the equation of that blue line. I need a point on the line, which I have. Here it is, minus a half, 7 over 2. And I need the slope of that line, which I don't have. However, I do have the slope of this chord, and the slope of this chord is 3. So in order to find the slope of a line perpendicular to a line, I turn the slope upside down and I change the sign. So the slope was 3 of this chord, so I'll say 3 over 1, turned upside down, 1 over 3, change one of the signs, minus 1 over 3 then. So the slope is minus 1 over 3. And now I have enough information to get the equation of this blue line. Use the equation formula, y minus y1 equals x minus x1. We'll call this x1, we'll call that y1. Y minus y1 is 7/2 equals m, which is -1/3, and then x minus x1, which is 1/2. It's minus 1/2, so it's plus 1/2. When you work all of that out, you will get an equation of x plus 3y minus 10 equals 0. So there is the equation of the blue line. You will do the exact same for this. You will get the midpoint. There it is. You will get the slope of that line, and then you will use that information to get the equation of this line, this orange line. Okay. After working that out, you will get an equation for the orange line of 3x minus y equals 0. Okay, so you have two equations. Here they are. There's one equation, the orange line on the diagram. There's the other there's one line, the orange one. There's the other line, the blue line on the diagram. The point at which they cross, here, that is the center of the circle. And remember, I want to find the equation of the circle, so I need two things. I need the center of that circle, and I need the radius. Right, so how do I find the point at where the orange line and the blue line cross? I will use simultaneous equations with these two equations of lines. When you use simultaneous equations, I'm not going to do it for you, but when you use simultaneous equations, you will get the point x equals 1 and y equals 3. So this point here, this is 1, 3. I have the center of the circle then. So I'll write it down. Center equals 1, 3. I want to find the radius, which is the distance from the center to the outside of the circle. Okay, I'll do it again, the center to the outside of the circle. Now, how do I do that? Well, I have 3 points on the outside of the circle. So if I get the distance between the center of the circle to any one of these points, that's the radius. How do I get the distance? I use the distance formula. When you use your distance formula, you will get a distance of the square root of 5. Whether you pick the distance between this point and this point, or the center and this point, or the center and this point, it doesn't matter. You'll always get a distance of the square root of 5, and that is the radius. Now we have everything we need. I have the center, I have the radius. So this center of this circle is not 0, 0, so the equation of the circle is going to be in this form: x minus h in brackets squared plus y minus k in brackets squared equals r squared. This is h, and this is k, and this is r. So it'll be x minus 3 squared plus y minus x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals the square root of 5 squared, which will give us x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 5. There is the equation of that circle, and if we wanted it in general form, I would just square out the brackets. Okay. Right, next question. Find the equation of a circle which touches the line 3x minus 4y minus 3 equals 0 at the point 5, 3 and passes through the point minus 2, 4. Right, again, sketch it. So there's our circle. and we'll draw our line. So let's say there's our line. That line, the equation of it is 3x minus 4y minus 3 equals 0. It touches the circle at the point 5, 3, and also the circle passes through the point, put it here, minus 2, 4. Right, I want to find the equation of that circle. So the two things I need to find the equation of that circle are the centre of the circle and the radius. Right, first thing I'm going to try and get is the centre of the circle. Well, if I can find, and again like the last question, if I can find the equation of this line, the line perpendicular to this tangent, and then if I can find the equation of this line, which would be, there's my chord, and I want to find the equation of this line, the line perpendicular to the chord that crosses, or that bisects the chord. If I find where these two lines cross, there's the centre of the circle. Okay. So, anyway, here's what I do. First thing I'll do is I'll take my tangent and I look for the line perpendicular to that tangent at that point. Right, I have a point on the tangent, which is great, because that means I have a point on this line. Remember, I need to find the equation of this blue line. I need two things. I need a point, which I have, 5, 3. I need the slope, which I don't have. However, I can try find the slope of the tangent. How do I find the slope of the tangent? Well, I have the equation of the tangent. Very easy to find the slope then. So just use the the y equals mx plus c. So 3x minus 4y minus 3 equals 0. Reconfigure this then. We have 4y minus equals minus 3x plus 3. Sorry, actually that's a minus 4y. Okay, change the signs the whole way across. 4y equals 3x plus 3. Divide by 4, y equals 3 over 4x plus 3 over 4. Slope of that is 3 over 4. So the slope of that tangent is 3 over 4. Flip it upside down, 4 over 3, and change one of the signs, and I have the slope of that line. Now I have what I need to find the equation of this blue line on the diagram. Have the slope, have the point. Put it into the equation formula, and it will spit me out an equation of 4x plus 3y minus 29 equals 0. Okay, so basically if I put this information into the equation formula, I will get this. There's one equation. Right, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a chord between this point and this line. I am going to find the midpoint of that chord, and then I'm going to get the equation of the line perpendicular to that chord that crosses that point here. Okay. Right, first thing I'm going to do, find the midpoint of the green line. Using the midpoint formula and the 2 points 5, 3 and minus 2, 4, I will get a midpoint of 3 over 2 and 7 over 2. So that's that point. Using then these 2 points again, the 5, 3 and the minus 2, 4, I will get the slope of that green line. The slope is 7. Sorry, man. The slope is minus 1 over 7. So that's for the green line. Now we're going to look for the equation of this line, the line perpendicular to the green chord that crosses the point here, which is 3 over 2, 7 over 2. So what I do is I take my equation formula and I put that point into it. I turn this upside down and I change the sign, and I will have 7. Right? So putting that into the equation formula, I will get an equation of 7x minus y minus 7 equals 0. Now I have two equations. I have the equation of the orange line and the equation of the blue line. Using simultaneous equations, I will find where they cross, and that will be the center of the circle. The center of the circle then will give me point 2, 7. Then I can find the distance between that point, center, and any one of this point or this point, whichever I want. So find the distance between those. Okay, so find the distance between the center and the point on the circle. And I will get 5. Okay, I have the center of the circle, I have the radius, I know the center of the circle is not 0, 0, so it will be this formula. So putting this in, I have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. There's the equation of that circle. Okay. Right, last question. Find the equation of the circle whose centre is on the line 3x minus y minus 7 equals 0, and which passes through the points 1, 1 and 2 minus 1. Okay. So, again, sketch yourself. Oops. Here's our circle. And the centre of that circle lies in the line 3x minus y minus 7. Okay, so there is a line, and the circle centre lies on it. So, there's our line. The equation of that circle is 3x minus y minus 7 equals 0. Right. And then we have 2 points on the circle. So just say here and here. And one of those points is 1, 1, and the other is 2 minus 1. Okay. So here's my thinking. I know the centre of the circle lies on this line. If I draw a tangent between this and this, if I find the centre of the tangent, sorry, it's not a tangent, I'll rewind again. If I draw a chord between this point and this point, if I bisect the chord and draw a line perpendicular to that chord, I get this line. Where that line crosses the red line is the centre of the circle. If I have the centre of the circle, that's great. I then find the radius, which is the distance between the centre and one of those points. Okay. Right. So here we go. I want to find the. Go back. I want to find the equation of this line. I need a point on that line, which is here. I need the slope of that line as well. So here we go. First things first, draw that line and bisect it, okay, or find the midpoint of it. And when I do find the midpoint, I will get so minus 2. So midpoint equals 3 over 2, 0. So midpoint is 3 over 2, 0. And if I find the slope of that line, I will get minus 2. Okay, so that's all to do with that line. So here's my point 3 over 2, 0. Slope is 2. Want to find the slope though of this line. It's perpendicular to the chord, so flip it upside down and change the sign. I will get a half. So the orange line has a slope of a half and a point 3/2, 0. I can use that to find the equation of the orange line, and the equation of the orange line is 2x minus 4y minus 3 equals 0. So when I slap that information into the equation formula, that's what I get. I already have the equation of the line crossing through the centre. So if I find, using simultaneous equations, where the red line and the orange line cross, I find the centre of the circle. When I do use simultaneous for those two equations, I will get the centre of the circle 5, 2.5. There's the centre of the circle. I want to find then the radius. I get the distance between the centre of the circle and one of those points. When I do that, I will get a radius of √10/4. So now I have the radius, I have the centre. I slot them into the formula: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Remember, this is h, this is k. I will get x minus 5/2 squared plus y minus half squared equals r squared, which is √10/4, all to be squared. That will give me x minus 5/2 squared plus y minus a half squared equals 10/4. And we can leave it at that. Okay, so there is my equation of that circle. Okay, I hope that helped, guys. Thank you.